do you want to call say hi to you want to call us in this time?
Huh? Who call you in?
As in say hi, welcome to another
Come
episode.
in.
Hello, Flinko.
I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm prepared for that. Or just say hello to everybody in here.
Everybody in the entire
Everybody's
world.
listening.
Every single one of those 7
Everybody's
billion
listening
people.
to me.
Us, Robert Pattinson.
Everybody's listening to me right now.
Yes.
Robert.
You piece of shit.
Hi guys, I'm Jess.
I'm Sinead.
I'm Adam.
I'm Cassie.
And we're
The
Movie Rats.
The show where a bunch of crackhead film students talk about films.
Warning, this podcast contains goblins, ghouls, and wig.
Welcome to the Movie Rats.
Hi. Welcome to the Movie Rats.
Oh my god, Adam's back.
It's been a while.
It's Adam, guys!
Whoa!
It's Adam!
I know.
Adam and Kate in
I
the
know,
same
I know.
room at the same time. I bet you guys
Well,
didn't think.
shit. Yeah, I'm sorry to end the conspiracy theory that me and Kate are the same person. I know that was going around, floating around
No.
the
But I will
Movie Rats
confirm the
subreddit,
theory
you know what I mean?
that we are long lost twins. So
It
you
is
guys
true.
got that one right. If you guys
Yeah.
were following on that, we've been putting down little subtle hints,
We did the test.
bro.
Okay. So,
Is this like Jack and Jill?
We are Jack and Jill.
we literally cannot get through an episode without Sinead bringing up Adam Sandler or Jack and Jill at some point. It's always relevant, too. It's not random, it's always relevant.
No, I mean, it's
Jack and Jill, you can bring Jack and Jill into any conversation flawlessly.
That's my special
My
skill.
favorite podcast.
All right. Let's bring it in. Let's get focused. So today we have a really fun episode. We are doing a cult classic as our series topic, and I'm really excited about it because it is I feel like it's one of those iconic fantasy movies. We're doing Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth.
Laberinto de Faun. I actually don't know exactly what it is in Spanish, but it's something
It's
like that.
El Laberinto. What is it? Oh shoot! I know what it is.
It's the fawn.
El Laberinto.
It's the
del
fawn's
Fauno.
labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
'Cause
fawn's labyrinth. I don't know what Pan is.
Pan is the name of a deity.
Look at us.
That's in the shape of a fawn.
Oh my
That's why.
god.
That's
Is that
in the
where-
shape of a fawn.
Side question: is that where
Stop.
pansexual comes from?
I know, guys. We're so inclusive. We got the Transformers, and we're bi-weekly with our Pan's Labyrinth.
All right. So anyway, but yeah, in Spanish, so it's Pan's Labyrinth, or in Spanish it is El Laberinto del
Hot
Fauno.
delighting. The what?
It is
Yeah,
a
the
2006 dark fantasy film written and directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Our boy.
That's our boy.
Mr.
It
Man.
is entirely in Spanish. I believe they do have. Do they even have an English dubbed version?
No, I don't know about the dub, but they
no.
have subtitles.
Well, so yeah, and Guillermo
You
del
can-
Toro actually, he's the one who wrote all of the subtitles because he had bad experiences for things like Devil's Backbone. But with that, I'll actually just hop on into my fun facts.
Yeah, fun fact,
I like
fun
that
fact.
actually, because sometimes subtitles do fuck up the
Well,
meaning
yeah,
of some things.
because I think
The fact
what
that
happened,
the director did it is fantastic.
I think what happened was that when he had them, they commissioned people who, which is normally what happens, commissioned people to do the subtitles for Devil's Backbone, and it just ended up being apparently it was certain phrases and stuff that they used just didn't it wasn't portraying
especially
exactly or conveying exactly what he wanted.
Especially when he was the writer of this as well. It's he picked, you don't just write dialogue and go, oh, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
write
maybe
a very
when you're
specific
starting
way.
off, you're very specific in what you mean and what you want the words to mean. In a movie like this, which to me is really clearly quite metaphorical.
Yeah,
In certain aspects that wording would be quite important.
yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
that's
I
about it.
actually have something related to that, but I'll get to it in a second. So some of the fun facts. I have actually a good amount of fun facts for this one.
Yay!
So Doug Jones, who's a really famous character actor,
I fancy him so
love
bad.
him.
I'm
played
madly in love with him.
so he played both the Pale Man and the Faun.
Okay.
What's interesting about it though is
Queen.
he was the only one who didn't speak Spanish on set. And Guillermo
Yeah.
del Toro was the only bilingual one. So Doug Jones was just in a sea of people speaking Spanish.
speaking.
Did he
And
learn?
Guillermo was the only person who could translate.
Aw.
So, but an interesting thing,
Aw.
yeah. So as
That doesn't mean he spent time with him. He was probably like, get over there. I don't
So
care.
to answer your question, Adam, he didn't learn Spanish necessarily, but in order to learn his lines, because he did have quite a few lines as the fawn, people kept on just recommending to him to learn them phonetically, but he really wanted to know exactly what he was saying so that he could react properly with inflections and respond correctly, like, you know, body-wise as well, to Ivana, who was the little girl who played Ophelia.
She's
Moana.
26 now, by the way.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Was she? Oh my god.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so he ended up learning all of the lines, like actually what they meant and what each word and stuff. So obviously he didn't learn Spanish. He can't just, you know, at the drop of a hat start speaking Spanish, but he did learn all of his lines, like not just
He can say his lines.
Exactly.
He can
However,
say his lines.
a little, like, it was a little disappointing though when I read that, because apparently they ended up dubbing over his lines by Pablo Adan, I
Thought
think
they
is
might
his
have done
name.
that.
But, and I mean,
Oh.
the reason I'm sure is just because some of the things that he said, it was like not perfectly phonetic, and you know,
It's totally
just-
fair.
which is fair. Yeah, he didn't.
He just
speak
has to get
Spanish,
the
and-
mouth moves right.
Yeah,
That's all.
exactly. So they did talk about the fact that because Doug Jones learned all of his lines correctly, it was a lot easier for the voice actor to dub in his lines properly and get the proper like performance.
He's like that tourist that like goes to Spain and learns like one thing. He's like, "Y cuentes, por favor."
See.
He's just he's a super like he always does that kind of. If he's the guy I'm thinking of, like, you can correct me. He's the guy that does like a lot of horror stuff as well.
Yeah.
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 He's in
Like,
Hocus Pocus.
He's him.
He's a super physical actor, and like his performance in that physically was fantastic.
He actually
this movie.
stated that I think this is something that I just read. I didn't write it down, but I remember reading something that said that he actually, the fawn's costume was one of the most comfortable, like, you know, character costumes that
Wig.
that he wore, because the artist that like created it, like, they did a really good job at like, you know, creating something that was comfortable for him to move in and act in.
Love that.
Can I say something about the Fawn's appearance? Doesn't
Yeah.
he look, when you look at his face, a little bit like Matthew Lillard? Just a little bit. Not the image. Just a little bit. Don't you see?
No.
I can imagine him going like Scoob, like a little
No, he
bit.
does not.
It's
I hate it. I can see it now, Kate. I can actually see it now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
A shaggy. Yeah, I can see.
I'm sorry,
Alright.
but I
So continuing on with, I've only gotten through one fun fact, you guys. Okay.
Sorry, so excited.
So, I don't know if everyone knows this, but if you've seen The Devil's Backbone, so this movie was created as a spiritual sequel to The Devil's Backbone, and the plot, The Devil's Backbone is one of Guillermo del Toro's like other most famous films, and so the plot for this film was inspired by, in Guillermo del Toro's words, it was inspired by a lucid dream, which basically means like an essentially like.
Nice.
It's like a cross between like a dream and a hallucination. And apparently the lucid dream was that like a fawn would crawl out of his grandfather clock and like speak to him. And I'm like, that is horrifying.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense,
Imagine.
because I was looking at that and like that's like not specifically a fawn, but lying in bed and waking up and see something come out of something is like a pretty common sleep paralysis thing.
Yeah.
So like, and then a lot of the stuff in the movie when you're watching occurs when she's like either about to go to sleep or in bed and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, this movie looks good.
So
If you want to
let's
get
see.
into that debate of is it real or not, even though it doesn't matter.
Another few fun. I have a few more. So so what this specific fact I liked because it kind of reminds me of the conversation that we had when we were talking about Inception and whether like the end, like what you interpret the ending, whether it matters or not, and how the reason that Christopher Nolan never gave away the ending is because that wasn't the point. So Guillermo del Toro says that like he says that you can, you know, perfectly accept that the magic and like, you know, the whole concept of her, you know, being a princess and the fawn and everything is real, but it's really up to interpretation. So it could just be a way of like a metaphor for like accepting, you know, life and finding something to keep you going. Or I think it so it had a lot to do with this one it was a quote that says that the tyrant's reign ends with his death, but the martyr's reign starts with his death. And he says, I think that is the essence of the movie. It's about living forever by choosing how you die. And so a lot of people, like, he leaves it up to interpretation to the audience to decide whether everything that she was seeing and experiencing was real or not. Because you know how when the captain walks into the labyrinth and he sees her and he doesn't see the fawn when she's speaking to him. And so a lot of people would speculate that she was just imagining all of this and her dying was genuinely a real tragedy because, you know, it was all like a hallucination. But it's up to interpretation. It was nominated for 3 Oscars and won 3 others. So the 3 that it was nominated for was foreign language film, original screenplay, and original score. And it won 3 for best cinematography, art direction, and makeup.
Yay!
So unsurprising, very unsurprising. So this one I thought was interesting. A sequel was considered and announced.
Don't talk about sequels on this podcast after that.
But it was scrapped in favor of Guillermo del Toro doing Hellboy 2.
Hellboy 2.
I like Hellboy. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad. Honestly,
Also, how do you do a sequel to this?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of glad that it's not, like, because even though it's like a spiritual sequel to The Devil's Backbone, like I feel like it's a standalone.
A
Like,
spiritual sequel is different.
It's different
like,
than an actual.
Like,
What is
what
a
do we do?
spiritual
She's
sequel?
yeah.
Like, what is it really?
Spiritual sequel? It's like where maybe it's the same. No,
Or
it's
like,
just
like, or if
you
it
just
like
make a
is
new
in
one.
the same universe
It's
or
like
whatever.
how everyone.
Oh, like so Pan's Labyrinth is Iron Man, and then this one's the first Hulk, and then the other one's like the first
Yes,
Hulk movie that's
exactly.
not
That's
really
exactly
in the
right.
MCU, but because it's
Yeah.
Ed Norton.
So anyway,
it's like every single Cloverfield movie.
So my last fun fact before we get into the
True.
discussion is that Del Toro refused to produce it in English because a lot of American production companies were offering him a lot of money and were offering him like a way larger budget than he ended up making it but their stipulation was that he had to make it in English. And he said that he refused to do it because he didn't want to give up the integrity of like the story, which he felt was properly like told in Spanish. So I read somewhere else that he gave up his entire salary to make sure that this film was like was produced.
Wake.
As well as that, like that makes sense. Interestingly enough, that runs almost parallel to some of the themes in the movie. Do you know what I mean?
That's tea.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
So yeah, then on that note, let's get into the discussion. Adam, did you want to talk a little bit about the whole like magic
Like
thing?
Metaphor or
Yeah.
like well, like
stuff?
Magic?
sure. Like I'd say probably my understanding of it might be a little bit better if I knew more about the Spanish Civil War, which like my knowledge of that is that they had a civil war, and that's about it. What I do know a bit about is freedom. No, but like genuinely, that story at the start with the not at the very start. It's when she Ophelia is telling a story to her brother.
Oh, about the rose
yeah.
and the thorns and the people deciding not to. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So I think like that kind of sets out a lot of the movie for me, and that kind of tells like the basic story or theme of the movie or lesson, whatever, is kind of held in that story, where like the blue rose being like the people's freedom, and obviously the mountain that they have to climb and the thorns in the rose that'll kill you, and it's like the fear of death and the fear of dying is keeping these people from
Exactly.
yeah. And then I like the metaphor that the blue flower would give them immortality. Do you know what I mean? I think that's really cool as well, because that goes really well with that quote you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, because so I think as kind of a central theme to the entire movie is the idea of courageous disobedience, because that's kind of, I think, the concept that they use both in the fact that the rebel cause in any kind of war really is courageous disobedience. It's, disobeying the regime in order to fight for what you believe is
rare. it's funny how much like sometimes like rebels can be painted in a bad light in certain media, but like it's rare that the rebels are the bad guys. Like you know what I mean?
In media and like and just like
in a lot of
literature and
American
stuff.
movies and stuff, I've noticed. Like, and it's
Well,
like,
in
weren't
this
you
one,
the
they're
rebels
going
at
against
some point?
fascism.
Yeah, exactly. I think they keep calling them the Reds. I don't know if they were communist or not, or whether that's just what they called them. But
yeah, no. So the
yeah.
idea of courageous disobedience kind of like runs throughout the story because like I mean it's the idea like at the very end, like the way she passes the last task is that she disobeys like the order that the father gives her is to give me
another
your brother. But that's the reason that she is brought back to like, you know, her world. Actually, while I was watching it for the first time too, I was like, you know, this little child being like a fucking idiot and eating the damn grapes because she's just a fucking idiot because children can't keep their shit together. It's the courageous disobedience because even though she wasn't like it, you know, a lot of people criticize her for it.
The way I viewed that is like what she had seen earlier in that day was the captain hoarding all the food and rationing
and
it
she
out.
hadn't had food at all.
That's what
like,
she's seen.
Yeah,
she got sent to bed without supper.
She got sent to bed without supper,
But like if you take that then is with the theme and with the story, and I think this could kind of go to somebody, if somebody was arguing that this is her dream, this could go towards it. Because she's seeing like these people who have everything, like your man, he's got his lovely cigars and his whiskey all the time, and then there's people lining up to get this food. So when she goes into this place and she sees this monster who's eating children, and I saw that as destroying the future, right? Of course it did. And then he's got all this food that he's keeping from himself, and he's fine as long as you don't touch any of it because it's mine. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's an interesting idea too, because two kind of like points that like stand out to me in that specific, like in this kind of topic is that like, for example, when they're talking about rationing and making the rations even smaller, they're literally talking over a feast about it. Like they're being like, oh, these are the ration cards, and everyone's like, that's not enough, as they like scoop generous amounts of food onto their plates. And then also they actually like they talk a lot about the fact that the pale man is kind of like a metaphor for that as well, because
I thought he was
the thing
Hitler.
is,
me and Jess thought he was Hitler. Okay,
what?
no, but we've got our wait.
Because the shoes.
No,
Because the shoes.
The shoes.
Yeah.
There's shoes. There's like piles and piles of
shoes
little
of the
kids'
kids.
shoes,
Right.
and like every time you hear someone go to Auschwitz or something, they're like, "Oh, just
Yeah,
the
the
shoes."
shoes.
And then
like,
he's sitting in front of the big fire.
that kind of looks like an oven. Maybe we're reaching, but it looks a little bit like an
I
oven.
thought it was meant
And he's
to be
got blood
because-
on his hands.
that's
I thought it was 'cause
possible,
it's
but
set
I think
around.
the more specific I think like metaphor that they were kind of going for was that the pale man eats children, and yet he still like has this entire feast, and yet he still prefers the children.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Also,
Yeah, I feel
it's
like I
art.
was watching a different movie.
So it's art. So if you think it's Hitler, it's Hitler.
That's
Good
true.
job.
Someone said that it was either Guillermo or Doug Jones. It was literally like, I think it was during like when Black Lives Matter was like, obviously it's still a very big thing, but like it was like someone tweeted something about Pan's Labyrinth or something like that, and then your man, either Doug Jones or Guillermo or someone who had to do it, it was like he's the pale man, he's the white man, he's a white man, like, hello.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of where I was like, oh. And then I was
that's
like,
fair.
Hitler. But I didn't mean, like, it was just from when I seen the shoes. I thought it was.
Because I felt that as well when I saw the shoes. Like, for me, like, that's what I associate it with as well.
That and the fact that this is really to do with like what I think he represents, but you know, like that room that he's in looks a lot like the room. There's like another room in it where like the captain, or like I'm just gonna call him stepdad.
Yeah.
The stepdad is like
Yeah.
talking to his little mates, and like it looks the exact same, like the long table, the
That's
fire
what I
behind
thought,
them.
yeah.
I was like, he's.
That's
white
what
man.
I thought. Like, because the theory I had, like, this is her coping with what's kind of happening around her, because there's so much trauma.
Well, I think, honestly, to keep on, continue the conversation about, like, the pale man, like, honestly, like, I'll be completely real, that's, like, one of my absolute favorite scenes in, like, a dark fantasy film. Like, of all, like, it's so,
Do you know
like,
what?
it's really creepy, and I mean it's less of it's like it's not even about the whole like, you know, appearance of the pale man. It's just the sheer like danger that she puts herself in, and like
the whole room is like, it's very reminiscent of a nightmare. Like, you know the way, like, you know when there is like, because there is nightmares I've had like that. I don't know if it's like a common thing, but you know where like the dangerous thing is in the room but nothing's happening. Do you know what I mean? You know something's gonna happen, but it's all like, and the way like she's in the room, she walks around him, but he's totally dormant.
And she can
That's
see
very
that she
nightmarish.
can basically touch him if she wanted to. But
She
like, yeah,
did, I
it's
think, at some
crazy.
point. I think she did. No, she took
She
his
picks
eyes
up
up on the
the
plate,
plate, yeah.
and then put them down. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the thing that bothers me the most about his appearance? I don't know if you're seeing this. His legs, they're so skinny, and like it looks like they should break under his weight, and like that freaked me out so much. I don't know, like I don't think that guy's legs are that skinny even, because they look paper thin. I don't know whether it's one scene when she looks over her shoulder, and then he's there, and
I'll
his
tell you how
legs
to do
are
it.
so.
You want to know how they did it?
No, don't tell me he's a magician. I don't want to hear. No, go on, let's hear.
Well, I mean, I watch a lot of like you know, VFX like videos and stuff because I find it really fascinating. Like I personally am not interested in doing it myself, but I find it really interesting. You know, movie magic. So Doug Jones, both for the Fawn and for the Pale Man, it was a full like body costume. In both cases, they needed to digitally edit his legs. With the Fawn, he was basically standing on, and I'll put a picture up in the video.
I think I've seen that.
But yeah,
picture
he's
of the
standing.
Fawn, yeah.
He's like standing on like, I think it was something like 8-inch stilts. And they have the shape of the legs are already there, and the bottom half of it, like the bottom half of his legs are just covered in like a, you know, green screen leotard. Basically the same thing happens with the Pale Man, is that he's wearing the costume over, and like the legs are like on top of his green screen leotard, and so they just edit out, like they digitally erase like
that
his
makes sense,
actual legs.
That's,
so,
I don't know why that's the worst bit for me, but like it's
well,
just
it's because
horrible.
it's unnatural. I mean, that's the whole point. It's like,
yeah,
it looks
but
unnatural. You get very
you know me. You know, I'm such an empathetic person. You know what I mean? That well, I honestly though, it just seems to me like they should break, or it looks painful to walk on, and I'm like, ow. Yeah. Like
I don't know what it is, but it's like he looks real thin. But he's got like, you know, when someone has real like, when if someone loses a lot of weight, and like they have that
he's
like
really flabby.
Like, not that that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing on anyone. But they just take it to such an extreme. There's like this like weird. It doesn't even look like skin. It's just like, it looks like paper dangling off his fucking arm. Like, it's just like, ew.
Oh, but since we were talking about the way they did, this is more of a production discussion, but whatever, I don't care. So the way since we were talking about the way they did the Pale Man, apparently the way they did the whole like him like devouring the fairies, like obviously the fairies are completely CG, but the way they did it practically,
they didn't hire the actors.
The blood was real because Doug Jones apparently had to bite condoms full of fake blood. The way they did it, so that they would pop. I don't know why condoms, apart from any other like latex balloon.
They were like, "What have we got?" And then some guy was like, "Hey."
There's one guy just sitting there like, like he really wants it. He's like, no, finally I can say we can use condoms.
So anyway, so back to
it's one real sad guy, and he's like, I never get to use it. He just like, it's he opens the little pocket for it in his wallet, and dust just pops out.
Like
He's
the Magnum ones, they're like, oh dude, come on, Larry.
Alright, so anyway, right? Like I feel like the person who bought it, they're just like, I just had these Magnums.
And Doug Jones being the little
it's Frank from Always Sunny. I dropped my Magnum condom for my monster dong, or whatever.
My monster
anyway,
condom,
we're going off topic. So does anyone have any more like story points that they want to
I have a point.
Okay, go for it, Kate.
I have a few questions actually, and I know none of you are attached to the production of
I'll do my best. I do a lot of research on the movie, so I'll do my best to try and answer your question.
So like, it's kind of fucked up, like the whole prophecy thing, because like obviously like yeah, like I know the movie's kind of fucked up, but like what the fuck, because like he literally, so the fawn meets Ophelia and it's like, you're the princess Moana, and you gotta do these 3 things and it's great. But if you knew from the get-go that this fawn was like, you're gonna kill yourself, I want you to kill yourself at the end of this, like like it's kind of like, do you know the part in Harry Potter in the last one when Harry's like, I was supposed to die the whole time? There was no that. She was never like, wait, what the fuck?
I don't know that it's necessarily that she had to kill herself, but
I think in the world of this fawn, I think life is like life. You know what I mean? Like, because he's got this whole afterlife going on. You know what I mean? I don't think he's got much of a concept of like what this world is and what everything else is. You know what I mean? Like, he's dealing in souls, baby. I don't know, no blood change for me. I deal in souls, no flesh.
All right,
you know. So,
but as well, after she dies, right? So she obviously like arrives at the end of Narnia, apparently, and like you know, everyone's up in their high chairs and like all that. Like, so okay. So I know you could be like, oh, maybe that's like, yeah, maybe all the magic was real and now she's like reunited in the afterlife.
Or it's heaven.
But, like, huh? Because, like, 1, the fawn is there, don't remember him dying. 2, the one living fairy's there, don't remember her croaking.
But, like, it's supposed
Three
to
the
be the
babies there.
underworld, though. So,
Well,
like,
that's
it's
what
the
I mean,
concept
though.
of the
So
underworld.
It's meant to be like parallel.
I think it's more of like a, you know, Greek style underworld where it's an actual place where the souls are there, but also you can go there. That's how I interpreted it.
Go for it.
Because I had 2 theories. One, she's just trying to cope with a war going on.
Yeah.
So she created a whole new world. And I was like, okay. Another one, magic is real. Hear me out.
Yeah.
But the fawn isn't, I don't think he's evil. I think he just like, I don't think he's evil. Hear me out.
No,
He's not
I don't
evil.
think
He's
he's
I don't think so either.
I think he's actually quite nice. I think the guy with the why am I blanking? The pale man isn't evil either. He's like a guard. But I saw also parallels to so if this wasn't real, it was like he was like the captain, her stepdad, guard and everything, and also like.
Did you just come to the same thing that I came to?
So. Sinead, I think you just unlocked something.
I think you're a genius.
And then who I thought the fawn was, I thought it was the woman who was like
Mercedes.
If I had to,
the fawn is Mercedes.
What? I thought she was like Mercedes in a way. If I had to draw a parallel that way.
Well, and I think like it's interesting too because like the fawn is supposed to kind of give off that vibe of like you feel that you can trust them, but they also don't seem trustworthy.
Yeah.
So like,
well, Mercedes Ma told her not to trust fawns.
Yeah, and but like it's just because like the whole movie you're kind of wondering, is this fawn like a good guy or is he like fucking?
He's supposed to be kind of near a good person or a bad person.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
That's
very
exactly what it is. It's supposed to confuse you.
Told a 12-year-old, don't eat my sandwich, okay? And they went, okay. And then I come back and I go, I ate your sandwich, also your cat's dead. I'd be like, I don't care if you're 12.
Your 2 of your cats are dead.
2 of your
You've got 1 gammy cat.
Well, anyway,
what the fuck?
I would also be mad.
I have like not necessarily like a qualm with the movie, but
I've got a few qualms.
I think there's something that could have made it not better, but like an additional like kind of element to it. So you know how
okay, Academy Award winner, tell us how you make the movie better.
No, but I mean, I'm just thinking, like when I was watching it, specifically when I was watching it the first time, you know how she's running away from the pale man and she doesn't make it to the door, so she has to draw a new one and she draws it on the ceiling. Well, while she's doing that, she breaks the chalk and part of the chalk falls on the floor and she doesn't go and pick it up and she climbs out. I was always expecting that the pale man was going to find the chalk and open a portal into their world. And I was like so afraid of that going to happen.
And the showdown just
what's
like,
what's he going to do? Yeah, he's going to like show up and start killing people.
The Spanish army's like, what the fuck?
Don't get me wrong. I love this movie and I love everything like that. Like I love the narrative in itself. I think it's a very whole, like full narrative. It's not really missing anything. But I think that would have been really cool. And when I was younger and I first saw this for the first time, I genuinely genuinely was expecting that, and I was waiting for the pale man to show up and
Although,
punch through her room or something, you know?
although I do think that would have been cool, I think it would be bad for the story.
Fair. I mean,
So-
it would complicate things.
Yeah.
What I do love is like the separation from her world and then like this magical world. Like there's a clear separation. That's why we're not quite sure if it's real or not. So if he came in, it'd be like, nah, this is real. This is real, lads.
So one thing that I want to talk about really quick, or I kind of want to try and blow your minds with. So you know how we were talking earlier about the fact that Del Toro refused to produce it in English,
Yes.
and that, you know, all of that. Well, one interesting thing is that, so I know you guys don't know Spanish, but there's one point when it's in the beginning of the movie when they first get to the like little camp or whatever, and the captain says welcome to them, right? Well, the word welcome in Spanish is bienvenido. When you're referring to multiple people, it depends on the gender of them because, like, you know, Spanish is a gendered language. And so if you're referring to two women, it would be bienvenidas. And if you're referring to any group of people, if there's one man or one male in it, it would be bienvenidos. So when he welcomes them, this woman and her daughter, he says bienvenidos. Because she's pregnant
baby.
with his son, and that's all he really
she's
cares
welcoming
about.
the son. Yeah.
I'm gonna eat men, eat them. There it is. Sorry, Adam.
That's really cool. That's a really cool. What you call it?
And that wouldn't
like
come
that's
across
something that I
in
wouldn't
English.
notice. Yeah,
exactly.
that is really cool.
Would not have come across it if they had produced it in English.
This move.
Props to Del Toro.
Can I also say one thing like I love about, like, I'm a big fan of like historic period movies,
Yes.
but also fantasy, and they have the both. Those are best worlds for me.
I think it,
Both best
and
worlds. I'm like-
it kind of combines them seamlessly.
Yes.
Like, it didn't
Oh,
feel
yeah, definitely.
odd that in the 1940s, in, like, you know, post-Civil War, like, that there would be this crazy fantasy going on. Like, it didn't seem odd. It was very well done.
Also, the fighting in the mountains. But the doctor storyline. I was so invested in what was happening with that doctor. I was like, he better not die.
What the fuck? It took him a while to die. When they shot him, he walked another like 2K and then fell. He's like,
I thought that was so cool. I was like, he's not even turning around.
Yeah,
like,
he's just
fuck
like,
you.
yeah, just keep going.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the part when he's
no Boromir, but like,
but, it's a Lord of the Rings reference.
I feel that.
No, the part when he's cutting your man's foot off, right, or his leg off.
leg,
Do you
yeah.
know what that? Do you know what that felt like for me watching it? It's. Do you know the like? I guess this is like.
Why
if
am I
we,
not allowed in the camera?
sorry,
too?
sorry. If we. Do you know that part? No. Do you know that? No. Do you know the part in Midsommar Midsommar?
Midsommar.
Where when they cave in your man's head with the
Hammer.
thing, like I felt that in my vagina, and I felt this in my, like I was like whoa, and like I felt that last night when we were watching it. I was
Yeah,
like
that's funny.
oh.
but
Yeah,
that
that's right.
it didn't remind you of the guy getting his cave crushed in with the bottle. That's when they like this that scene in
That
this
was
movie
disgusting.
where he like, and the bottle doesn't break. He just keeps pushing the flat of the bottle into
That's
his face.
psychotic.
That
Yeah.
was
I'm
disgusting.
sorry, you have to be psychotic.
He is
That
psychotic,
I think that-
Sinead.
yeah, he
He's
is.
attached to a baby
He's a
rather than
fascist.
his wife.
Yeah, okay,
Twilight.
I'm glad we can all agree he is.
Twilight parallels.
Baby Bella.
All right. So does anyone have any other story points?
Oh,
sorry,
That's a
Sinead.
good thing that we just brought up there by accident. Him
What?
being attached to the kid.
Mm-hmm.
That would be his struggle. Like his form of immortality
Mm-hmm.
would be his legacy. Would be his son. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And the fact that they
And-
refused him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say you won't even know. Like he won't even know your name.
Mercy.
That also plays into the theme as well, and especially with the story of the blue rose on top of the
What a
No.
queen.
Yeah.
We by far agree that like Mercedes is the best character in the movie.
oh
yeah. That's what I want to say
Mercedes
as well.
is the best.
Yeah, when she's like I've gutted more pigs than you or some shit. and
Yeah.
When he's like
Slices
tell
him.
him the time his father
Yeah,
and
so
she won't
good.
even let him
She's
finish
like,
it.
no.
She's just like no.
She's just like, nah, bitch.
Yeah. I think we've talked a lot about the fantasy element, but like so far as the real world stuff in it, like whatever, like yeah, it's fantastic. Like
It's very compelling.
yeah, it really is. And shit, I don't see. I'm bad at that. I'm talking about that sort of stuff because when I see like fantasy things, I'm reading into the metaphor. I'm like, yeah, and then this is like, no, this just happened and it's really shit, but it did happen to people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think like Sinead was saying, it's a really cool mix to have in a movie, is to have like both of these lines together.
Okay, this is like, I'm drawing back, but there's one scene that I absolutely hated.
What?
I hate it. They burned the mandrake, and you can hear it squealing.
And then she immediately fucking kills out. Like, it's like... Shouldn't have
no,
burned it.
Right? It's like, I wonder why.
And the man doesn't hear any mandrake screams for any of you who are like, is it in her head or no? But yeah.
I thought, that's when I got confused, is it real or not? Because I thought, like, surely everyone is seeing this thing going on fire.
But even, it's a root shaped like a baby under the bed. How are they not like, what's up with this? Like, you know?
Oh, this voodoo magic
kinda
shit.
gross,
What is she doing?
They're just
Right,
like,
but
ugh.
also like, what's the harm? Like,
the
I
first
don't
time I
understand
watched
why they
that
got so
movie,
angry.
Like gardening.
well, like it was spoiled milk and shit, and like she was sick, so like it was like, what's this bowl of roots and spoiled milk
no one
under
knew it
this
was there
person's
before.
bed?
But this is the thing.
But
She was
I thought
getting
that
better.
yeah,
She was.
I thought right.
We're too
Here's a
Irish.
weird thing.
We're believing in this.
Here's a weird thing. I thought the first time I watched it, I thought the farm was tricking her into giving her mom an abortion. Like I thought the farm was tricking her into killing the son.
I was a
I
little
don't
bit
know why.
suspicious the first time I believe. I
Yeah.
think, as far as I remember,
Because I was like,
think I was a little
fuck,
suspicious
like
as
that's
well.
weird.
I love
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
all thought like a different.
I don't know why
really
I thought
dark
that,
metaphor was
but
like
I just-
underlying this movie. Because me and Kate were like, is something like.
Yeah, I was
we were like, is someone
worried.
getting like sexually assaulted? Because there was a lot of like
I think
uterus,
there was
like,
a lot of
uterus
things-
imagery and like people getting
Uterus
real weird.
imagery. It's supposed to be
no.
fawn imagery.
No, it's not. Listen, I just got my ovaries cut open and sewn back together. I know what ovaries look like, mate, right? And let me tell you, I have a list of what looks like ovaries. We've got the ovaries.
Goats.
The ovaries themselves on
Goats.
the page.
Goats.
Go, no, right? But even
Goats
when,
do look like ovaries.
Well, fawn
when-
are half goats, so.
but listen,
Well, not ovaries, but like the whole
yeah.
Yeah.
Female reproductive system.
but when
it
the
looks like a goat.
but when they show the pale man in the drawing, he's like that, and his arms are like real. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry.
see,
It looks like
this
ovaries.
has
like,
been specifically like talked about by Del Toro.
That's that's
saying
interesting as
that
well.
he does
Saying that like
fawn imagery throughout the film,
Ovary
including like the
imagery.
the tree as well. Like it's definitely fawn imagery. Not
No, hold
But
on.
if you
I think
wanna
it's
look into
ovaries.
it, I
Hold
have
on,
a
though.
theory.
Ma'am,
I'm
hold
backing
on.
up your
It's
theory. I'm backing
Okay.
up your theory. Because she's a woman. No, literally, because the captain only likes the boy, like his son. That's
Yeah.
the
That's what
boy.
we
You can
thought.
say that. That's the reason why there's the
Exactly.
female imagery
And
throughout that shows maybe like she's not. I don't know. You can.
yeah,
then the
in
bit
support of
where-
Kate's as well, seeing the pale man have like ownership over the like womb, because that's all that he cares about.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about
He's
her.
like the
He only
captain.
cares about his son.
fine.
And then
like
Seeing-
like Adam said, it's art, so it's up to everyone.
It
else
is,
to
yeah.
interpret it,
I
but
but
I'm
I
taking
think
very
specifically,
literally.
I remember like the image you're talking about, and he's like got his arms wrapped around it. It's not so much like, I understand you could see him like forming it himself, but for me it was him like holding it. Like this is all he cares about, is
and
this
then
here,
the bit where like
Yeah.
Ophelia's,
which would
like,
make
the
sense
first time,
if
like,
you
Ophelia's
take it as a
got, like,
womb, like you were saying.
hemorrhages,
yeah.
and she
Mm.
opens the book and it literally just goes into that shape, and then
No,
the whole-
Jess,
Yeah.
it's a fawn. It's a fawn.
And that's what he
Fuck.
said. Okay.
No,
Like,
but
he's
but here's my thing. No. Here's my thing.
Oh,
Which
please don't,
is
this
more?
like Transformers
Which is?
all.
I'm just no. It's just a question. I have a I'm allowed to ask a question. Which is more important to the story? Which is more relevant to the story? The fact, like the theme of like women and motherhood, or fawn?
Both. That's the
But
thing.
no, the
Both.
fawn is important. But like, what
But
does
here-
the fawn do?
here's the thing,
I don't
okay.
think we can
The
have
fawn
both.
represents neither good or bad.
Because
Yeah,
I
in
thought
this
there
whole
was
story.
fawn imagery, like at the start when like she's
Oh,
going
there is.
into the labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Yeah, the, like
Aye.
the
There's
the
literally
thing
the
on the
fawn.
top of it. Yeah, there's.
And then the
it's a fawn.
tree she climbs into has horns. It's like a fawn.
If you want to look into the fawn, like, is neither good or bad, you can look at all the characters. Neither of them are what they're doing could be considered good or bad.
And one of
Like,
them's
Yeah.
definitely
So
bad.
okay. So
well, no.
Yeah, no, yeah.
well, okay, because
No, but he believes he's protecting what he's doing. If
He
you
thinks
understand,
he's
like,
good, yeah.
Like, he's getting the rebels out. Like, he's fighting against... No, like, you
Right.
have to look through their perspectives.
Yeah.
They believe what they're doing is kind of good, but
Like
the,
Thanos, like
the
a
other person's
lawful
doing is
evil
bad.
kind of job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the
So
reason
neither
though I
good or
say
bad.
is that because you guys were like, what's more important, women or a fawn? Let me just say the reason it's called Pan's Labyrinth.
Fawn.
is lab-
Fear the
Fawn,
dog.
fawn,
And
fawn, fawn,
So
fawn.
obviously the literal translation
In all aspects.
the literal translation of the Spanish name title is the labyrinth
Fawn's
of
labyrinth.
the fawn.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pan is a deity, and it takes like the symbol of it is a goat, or like in some
He has
cases
goat
a
legs.
fawn.
Go.
And
Tumnus,
Pan
if you will.
is the god
is
of
the goat.
nature and the wild, and
He's
Is
Hermes'
that why-
son.
It's a
That's
circle.
Is that why they
It-
called it the pan flu? Because you always see like a satyr or something going around going.
I think
okay.
it's a happy ending. We can have both.
so anyway,
You can, because that's the thing though, honestly. Whatever you think it is, that's what it is.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. Like, fair enough, that's what Guillermo intended it to
So-
be, but I love you, but it doesn't matter
Fair
what
enough.
you intended
That's
it to
fair.
be. It's how whoever viewed it interpreted it.
So
and I
anyway.
think it makes a lot of sense that that would be a lot of female imagery as well.
So, does anyone have any more story points before we just move
No.
into some of the production
No,
stuff?
it's mainly a
I
production
will
thing.
say
Hmm?
that little dude with the stutter
Yeah, I felt
Stop.
so
that
bad for him.
hurt me.
Yeah.
He was
That
trying
was-
so hard when he was counting to 3.
No, he was like, North America. They're like,
Yeah.
north of France.
Leave him alone.
We find a himbo in
He
every
can't
movie.
speak, he can't
So
fucking read.
No, I
Leave him
love him.
alone.
That's why I love him.
I have a segue on the topic of our dear little man that stutters.
Yes.
The special effects in this movie is so good. Like the bit where like the doctor comes in and you see his hand. Because I was
Well,
like looking and I was like,
yeah.
that nothing's wrong with him, and then like you see his hand and there's like a fucking like his
So
hand.
yeah,
not
the
good.
majority,
his
almost every
face.
single thing that was in the movie
Practical.
was practical. They did very little CG,
And it
so
shows
they
and it's
added
brilliant.
CG to obviously the fawn and the pale man to edit out his legs, as well as to the mandrake to have its more fluid movement, and also all the fairies were the fairies and the stick like bug insect whatever was were CG, but everything else was practical.
I think that's
love
like
that.
a very signature Guillermo thing as well, though. He's
That's
super,
why I love
and
him.
Yeah, he's like, and all of his stuff like has such a specific look. It looks very similar to his other movies. Like it looks a lot like Hellboy, especially like that scene at the end. It's interesting that you said instead of working on like a sequel to Pan's Labyrinth
worked on
2,
Hellboy.
he ended up working on the second Hellboy movie, The Golden Army. I don't know if you've seen that,
No.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So like the throne room, and there's all like the stuff falling and all.
It
It's
looks
very
so
similar.
similar.
Yeah, it
with
is,
the
and
leaves.
it looks like. I mean, it's definitely his world. You know what I mean? Like, if you
living
wanted
in his
to
world.
if you wanted to go further, then yeah, all the stuff she said was real. You go further again. You go, it shares a universe with Hellboy,
Which
and
shares
then
the
you've
universe with The Shape of Water.
All the things she said, all the things
Yeah.
she said, run it through my
So
head,
anyway.
run it through my head, run it through my head. My hands look so
fish
scary.
porn.
So anyway,
Huh?
I really want to talk about the cinematography and the score for a second. So I really, really love the cinematography. And one thing that I really like about the
very
cinematography
nice.
is like the specific style of the movie. In the early 2000s, I feel like they were a lot of like, filmmakers, specifically the filmmakers that did like these style of films would kind of play it safe with the cinematography and wouldn't really kind of do really dynamic shots.
Steady
And I think
multicam.
so the cinematographer on this movie was Guillermo Navarro. He
Another Guillermo.
I know another Guillermo. I think he did a
Labyrinth.
really
Call him
good
the
job.
two
And
Guillermos.
they did end up winning an Oscar for best
The
cinematography.
Gyarados, if you will.
So
Brilliant.
that wasn't clever at all.
Okay.
thought
Then
it
why
was-
did some people laugh?
So anyway,
It's me. I'm some people.
I thought it was really good because
Me too.
he used a lot of dynamic shots, and I think that they just they added to the fantasy of the story, because for the most part when you were seeing the fantasy elements and stuff, the way they shot it was just in a very fluid manner, and I thought
It's also,
that it did really well.
Significantly brighter.
Mhm.
And the color palette was very different as
Exactly.
well. A lot of it was a lot warmer.
Can I say something about the costume?
Yeah, of
I
course.
I don't know if this was. I think one of them was intentional. Don't know about the second one. The scene where she gets her new dress, and it's literally Alice in Wonderland but in green. It's the.
That's what I thought. I thought they were doing reference to
I
that.
never
Like,
even noticed that
but
till you said
then-
it, but yeah.
But then when
on.
she goes to the tree, so she's wearing it, and you're very oh, it's like Alice in Wonderland. But then when she goes to the tree, she fucks it off, and then when she puts it back on, it's dirty. So I think that's kind of, I don't know if I'm right, but I think it could be the way, a little way of Guillermo or the costume designs, department. This ain't your mama's fantasy movie. This ain't no Alice in Wonderland. There ain't no smoking caterpillars. There's men
That's
with eyes.
cool. I
And
never
then-
even picked up on that. That's great. Yeah.
And then I thought maybe, now this was me reaching,
But there's no. I know the shot you're thinking.
Yeah.
We want to hear the hot takes. We're here for hot takes.
I need DP on my arm. I've been reaching
No, scorching
So-
hot takes. Let's go.
the end of it, right?
Red hot.
Fuck off. The end of it, where she's back up in the high chair room at the end of Narnia, right? And
Yeah.
with her mom and all that.
The lifeguard room. Yeah.
And she's got these red ducks on. They look like ducks, but they're red. And I'm like,
Oh, she's doing it.
Scorching hot, man.
it's like Dorothy in Wizard of Oz.
I knew where it was going. Scorching hot. Oh my god.
I don't know, and that kind of has no it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay, I've no
narrative-wise.
eyebrows after
Wait,
that.
wait, because
Scorching
no,
hot.
listen, because now she's home. Clicking your heels and then you're home.
Whoa.
I love it.
Why
I'm
did
an
this feel
I'm
like
an
spoken
art
word?
student. I'm an
It's
art
fast.
student.
So-
I eat
It's
cigarettes.
your
I'm an art
intellect.
student.
It's scary.
So let's talk a little bit about the score. I thought the score was really well. Apparently the score was basically modeled entirely around the lullaby.
Oh, cool.
checks
That's
Well,
out.
so
lullaby.
The
nice.
one is it the one
The one that
The
Mercedes...
one-
At the
Mercedes
The
is
start of the
singing.
movie.
Yeah.
No?
Because
Oh,
I
that-
turned around to
Yeah.
Kate and
Oh,
I,
at the
I
end.
love when they sing the theme song.
Yeah.
And only now I have realized.
Mercedes is to the fucking song.
Only
Well,
right
and
now
I think when she was humming it, I think it really
Scratch it.
flawlessly
I don't know.
transitioned into the score, which
Yeah,
I think
it
is
was
it was
beautiful.
such a lovely talent that some composers have and some film scores have, is that they do really well at mixing, doing the sound mix where the actual what's going on in the movie just flawlessly moves along with the score
Moves
and
together.
into the score, and I thought it was really well done in this one.
It's quite well.
I agree.
Wow. Also, we said It Chapter 1 has good transitions. I can only remember 2 transitions
I
in
can't
the movie,
remember
and they
any.
slapped
I can't
harder.
remember any. Oh wait,
The bit where it's like,
there's something to do with the fawn. The
oh,
fawn.
no, I can't remember. the
Oh,
first
I
one.
know what you're talking
Anyway.
about. It's when he's when the camera's flying all around the captain's room when he's shaving and
This is
stuff,
when-
and,
and then-
there's
yes,
these
this is what I can't
there's
remember.
so many match cuts that they just keep on and the camera's always moving in these really beautiful sweeping movements. Shut up, Adam. I can see your face looking at
If you
me.
want to impress
You're judging
Cassie,
me.
make sure your camera moves.
It's
That's
not
all it
okay.
takes.
I do
I'm only
love
messing.
movement.
I'm only
Fuck off.
messing.
Because
I'm only
honestly,
messing,
I
I know,
understand.
I know.
I understand the significance and the utilization of a still shot, but
I love them.
I love
still
movement because I
shots.
think movement has the ability to tell stories. So obviously, if you're using movement in the wrong
100%
way,
it
I don't.
does, yeah.
I'm not about it. But I'd rather you just have a still shot because then it's just distracting. But if it's moving along with the
The only
story and it's
reason I
helping
say
to tell
that-
the narrative, then I think
Yeah.
it's preferable to have the movement.
The only reason I say that is because I remember I was shooting someone. You're like, I'd rather go handheld because then it's a bit. And I was like, no. Why? So it's a bit this? No, no.
Alright.
It doesn't have to move.
the second transition, which is like silly, but also it just looked really pretty. When like Ophelia and Mercedes are like running away, and they have the umbrella, and then the umbrella like they pull the umbrella, and the whole fucking army is there, and they're like.
I like that.
Like I laughed, but I was also like, I love this because it was like
you just put the Curb Your Enthusiasm team over.
What were they all like?
We're
gonna sneak
yeah,
up.
they're like,
We're
oh,
gonna
they're
sneak
coming,
up.
they're coming.
Guys, calm down. There's so many people talking at the same time.
This is gonna be so good. They
So
won't even
honestly,
see
yeah,
our
no,
shit.
You wouldn't have been
Oh,
able
they're
to
about
make
to turn around.
I like 100% agree. Like, props to the editor of this film because they did a really good
Wig.
job. The cinematographer and the editor did
Sam
a really good job
Mendes
of
is
like
shaking.
both working together in order to create those really dynamic transition shots.
Mm-hmm. And they were
Transitions.
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 If anyone's wondering, the editor is the Spanish
editor
name.
Cassie. Oh,
It's
you're
not-
going to yourself.
It's. I gotta read it phonetically in my head before I say it out loud because I don't speak
Hold on,
Spanish.
I bet you I can do it. Alright.
I bet you I
Give us a
can
try
run
at it.
fast.
Hold on, before
Bernat
you say it, let me
Villa
try
Plana?
it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Never mind, I looked at the name.
They're not.
Dunno.
I think it's. The way I would read it phonetically in Spanish, because Spanish is actually quite easy to read phonetically because you say everything phonetically. It's talking to you Irish people.
Villa Plana.
But Bernat Villa Plana, I think Villa Plana
Bernat
is
Villa
probably
Plana.
the way you say it. Anyway,
Bernat
so does
Villa
anyone
Plana.
have
No.
anything else to talk about?
It's like
I think it is a
so
really well-produced
perfectly Guillermo
Oh,
del
it's
Toro.
beautiful.
Yeah, very true.
It is like so true to his movies, excluding
Mhm.
Pacific Rim. So true to those movies.
Mm.
Beautiful. That's how
I
I
feel
can
like
drag
it's
that like it's not my
fantastic.
favorite movie.
But,
No, but like all
you
his
love that
movies
movie.
are-
That's what I'm saying.
all his movies are like hauntedly beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crimson
it is.
Peak.
That-
For me, he just is like dark fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Darth
dark,
Vader.
he is Darth Vader. For me,
He is my
Ooh.
father.
Guillermo del Toro is Darth Vader. No, but
Aw.
like you know the way like dark fantasy is dark fantasy, but a dark fairy tale has a very different feel to it.
Mhm.
And like for
Yeah.
me, it just is Guillermo del Toro because he has that nailed. Like one thing that I'm so upset about, because you can see the influences in it, but it doesn't fully come true, is the fact that we didn't get the Hobbit movies that we should have got under Guillermo del Toro, because they would have been so.
I agree. Well, because
good.
it's just I think
'Cause
in
he was
I
general,
might
supposed to
watch
direct them.
them.
I think
He
it's
wanted
like,
to, but the studio were like,
I think Guillermo del Toro does really well at kind of like evoking the type of like, you know, like emotional reaction that you get from like a Grimm's
Yeah.
fairy tale versus the Disney-fied versions of all these fairy tales that children know.
mm-hmm.
Because like
I don't like. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a very particular feel.
yeah.
He's
Eh.
doing Pinocchio, and I don't trust that shit.
Oh, I'm so
He is
excited
gonna be
because
Oh,
when
that
the
would
Gary-
be class.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
really
he's
excited. for that.
perfect.
When the
for Pinocchio.
donkeys
No,
get
Pat,
turned into
no, we're
donkeys.
not talking about the donkey, Sinead. You know how I feel about the fucking donkey from
So anyway,
Pinocchio,
So,
fucking Pinocchio, whatever the fuck.
does anyone have anything?
Yo.
Does anyone have anything else to talk about?
It's a very good movie.
It's really good. Better than any movie that I probably can make. So I feel like I
Okay.
should just like it.
I would like to see, if at all possible, like this would be a dream. If, like, shit, is he dead? Hold on, let me find out if he's dead first. Because I can't
mean-
remember if he.
Who?
I don't know why I thought he was dead, but I was like, shit, is he dead?
Who?
Who?
Miyazaki.
No,
You know
he's
who
not
made-
dead.
No, he's
Yeah, he's
living.
79. Look, he's just old, and I was like, fuck, because I couldn't remember. There was somebody who died, and I was like, shit, is it him? I think if Guillermo del Toro and Miyazaki worked on a movie
That would be
together,
really cool.
Yeah.
like whatever the story would be,
That'd
I'm
be
sure it
nice.
would be great. But the visuals,
That would
like,
be lit.
their styles mesh so well.
Yeah.
That's the only other
I would-
person who I think can hit that kind of, like, if you wanted to, could hit that darker fantasy
Mm-hmm.
like feel.
Yeah.
Like it gives me the kind of almost like a similar emotional reaction. He could so hit it. So I think if him and Guillermo del Toro made a movie together, that's totally off topic apart from Guillermo del Toro. But if they made
No,
a
but that-
movie
I-
together,
yeah, I
be it
agree.
You were like
animated
their love child.
or what, I'd prefer animated, but I always prefer animated. But yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be a dream.
All right.
So yeah.
Well then, I think let's go ahead and, unless anyone has anything else to say about the film,
No.
let's go ahead and rate it.
Not crazy.
Adam, just rate it. Say what you need to
Please,
say, Adam.
please just
We missed
say
your
it
disclaimer. We
over.
haven't had your disclaimer in 2 episodes.
Alright,
We're
listen.
begging.
What I'm rating is my enjoyment of the movie. Okay, you shouldn't rate movies, and you shouldn't base your opinion on movies based on other people's ratings, because it's art, and art is to be enjoyed. Okay, and it's your opinion. Form your own opinion. Okay, that's what I say. Form your own opinion. What I'm rating is not the quality of the film; it is how much I
This is such a
enjoyed it.
long-winded disclaimer. Continue.
You said you wanted it. Alright, there you go.
That being said,
That being said, what do you rate it?
8.
that's solid.
Wait.
8. Or yes, 8.
8.
8.
Or they say
And it's episode 8.
8. Oh my god.
Oh, I gotta change
Wait,
it then.
Kate.
No, I'm only messing.
And my name's Kate. And it's...
Guys.
No,
moving
my
on.
name's
Right.
Kate. Oh,
Stop.
So, I'll go next then. I kind of agree. I'd give it an 8.
solid 8.
Cool.
I'll
Not
give
Now,
good
it...
is that your enjoyment of the movie, or is that actually the quality that you think the movie? I'm only messing.
Okay, let me see. The enjoyment of the movie, I'd probably say like an 8.7.
Don't feed
Then
into
the
him.
technical production prowess of this film would probably be somewhere like an 8.2. So it's all within that realm.
Then how did it get 8?
7.
I'm so
Just
confused
it's
with your
7.
math.
Like, whatever. Okay, so next.
It's a 7 for me.
Nice.
solid 8.
I'm gonna say you're all gonna hate me, but I had this number before y'all said 8. It's 8.5. And the reason why it's not higher is because it's open-ended, but I like open-ended, but also sometimes I want to know if it's real or not, so that's why it's not a
Actually,
10.
yeah, I'm gonna
Wait,
bump mine
It's
so
down
low
it's
to
not-
because it's
6.5.
open-ended, because I like
It's not
open-ended, but
10
I
because
don't like
it's open-ended, but also you like open-ended.
No, the way it's done is weird, though. I agree
Alright.
with
Do you know what?
You understand me?
Sinead.
Sometimes.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right, because you're rating your enjoyment of the movie, and nobody can tell you otherwise. What you like's what you like. What you don't like's what you don't like. Okay,
Alright, so anyway.
And that's okay.
All right. Well, then we're gonna take a quick
It's
break.
like the ham sandwiches all over again.
We're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back for the rest of the episode.
Boom.
I won't. I'll die mid-episode in a freak accident.
Hey everyone, Editing Cassie here. Just letting you know that Adam's mic cut out halfway through the episode, so we had to resort to using the Zoom audio for the rest of the time that he's on. Back to the episode. All right, guys, and we are back.
Hello.
Let's see if Jess did anything to prepare for NATO's Another Week
You
this week.
don't ask silly questions.
Will I do
Of
a
course
beat?
she didn't.
Do you want me to bring in a beat?
No, it's always acapella. Don't ask silly questions. I wish I knew Vin Diesel's new song.
It's like oh shit.
It's Sinead's. No, Sinead's
Nut of
the
the
week.
weekend.
There we go. That was an
It's
actual
like,
song this time.
Nut of
Wow,
the
that was
weekend.
chaotic.
It was good.
All right, Sinead, who do you have for us this week?
You're all gonna love this person. Well,
I'm
let's
so
carry on.
excited.
Yes.
This is a wee hint. I've been very heavily influenced by the month of October to pick this person.
Spooky
It's
time.
Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Well, oh my god, I love him in Spaceballs. Him playing what is the name of it?
He's
Oh,
there.
I can't remember.
I was your
Yeah,
father's
it's he plays the
uncle's
Darth Vader
cousin's
roommate, and he's like, oh, Dark Helmet.
Brothers.
His name is Dark Helmet.
You have heard
What does that make us?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
He was
Oh,
randomly
baby.
attacked 5 days ago.
Yeah,
physically
he
assaulted.
got punched in the face in New York.
What the fuck?
Why are you laughing?
Because I'm in shock.
He's 67.
Just some random dude like punched him in the face.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, you guys are right. He was attacked.
Why don't we
Right.
make it up? he was attacked.
Oh my god. But anyway, he's in such classics as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Spaceballs, Ghostbusters 1 and 2, Little Shop of Horrors, and many more. Wow. I love him. I just love his acting. He's one of my favourite characters in Ghostbusters. I can quote all of his lines. Don't test me, I will.
Do it now.
Who brought the dog?
The dog.
Chronological order.
Don't worry,
In
guys, I
alphabetical
got
order.
this.
I know
I'm a
reverse
lawyer.
alphabetical.
Well, I went to night school. Was that a thing? I feel like that was a thing.
Nice.
I love him in Little Shop of Horrors. And he's really good at singing.
Because he used to be in a band. He started off as a
No
band.
way.
I don't know much about it, but other than he started more so in music, other than acting. Like he was
Interesting,
really
I didn't know
good at I think it was like a band, or it was like more so like theater musical on that end. And then he was actually like big in that scene in New York. And then he got into like few odd roles, and then eventually that led into more roles. But yeah, no, he's more known as a musician.
There you go.
I got really excited.
Yeah.
Pick a
A
card.
magician.
Gee, any card.
I like him just I think he's so recognizable. Like, you know, you're
Yeah.
looking at Rick
Whoa.
Moranis when you see Rick Moranis.
I have a theory, yeah?
Go for it.
Alright, there's an episode of Limmy Show where one of the characters, Dee Dee, like runs into this fella while he's walking down the road, and he's like, "You're on the telly," and it's like one of the fellas from the news. He's like, "Yeah," and then you see Dee Dee, and he's just thinking, he's like, "If I punched him now, he'd have a big black eye, and then he'd be on telly." And then it like cuts to him in front of the telly, and then the guy with a black eye, and he's like, "Ah, I did that." It's like-
I forever thought he just sounded like that in Little Shop of Horrors, and then I heard him actually talk like outside of movies, and I was like, he doesn't sound like that. Like he doesn't sound like that. That's Cher. That was Cher possessing.
No.
Oh.
I love him. He's just a real cute little man.
I love him.
No, he is so cute. Why did he is actually really cute. When younger him is cute.
Younger him is very cute.
He's adorable.
Little Shop of Horrors drags him because they're like, look at this ugly guy. And it's like, he's not that bad, guys.
He's just short.
Next to King
Oh,
Tut
wait, he's in-
buried with a donkey. Like,
I
you know.
honestly,
Buried with a donkey.
I honestly
Donkey
am
Tut.
really
Also-
excited to
He's in
review
Flintstones.
Spaceballs on
He's
this
Barney
podcast.
Rubble,
Oh, that's
right?
right, he is.
Oh my god, I love Flintstones.
He's so miscast. I'm sorry. Why everybody who's casted in that I'm questioning. What Liz Taylor's
John
from
Goodman, I
Flintstones.
get.
Liz Taylor plays I can't remember anyone's name.
Liz Taylor?
Wilma's. It plays Wilma's mother. Yes, Liz Taylor's in the Flintstones.
Flintstone movies.
I haven't
Wait.
seen that movie in so long.
I could never really vibe with it. It would come on Christmas, and I was like, no, I'm going to watch Anastasia. I
Here's
can't.
the best thing, though. Hold on, I could be totally wrong about this, but I think I'm right. I think the guy who plays Cooper from Twin Peaks plays the alien in that movie. No, do you know
He
who plays
does.
the alien in that
No,
movie?
he-
Is it him? Yeah?
No, he doesn't play the alien, but he plays like the boss. One of the guys from Twin Peaks
yeah,
plays
yeah.
like the boss.
I can't wait to review Spaceballs on this podcast.
Spaceballs
'cause that's
so
one of my
good. It's a
all-time
classic.
favorite dumb comedies, like parody comedies. I love Mel Brooks. I think he's so fucking funny. Yeah, all right.
But did he make the Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas?
Oh, the pun.
Uh,
It's 2000. It looks like it should be a lot earlier than.
It was only 2000.
It looks like it should be so much earlier than
It
that.
was like 82.
It says the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas.
I
Oh,
thought my
because
mom.
that's the prequel
that's
to the
such a bad one.
Flintstones 1994. That's the bad one, as if there was a good one.
I thought my mom was like a child when that came out.
It's still 94 is not that old.
no, the 1994 one was good. I'm sorry, the Flintstones 1994 one was
I love
way
the
better
Flintstones.
than the second one. The second one, they recast everyone and expected me not to realize.
So anyway, that was a solid choice. Once again, yet again, just knocking it out of the park with all of these great.
You always get
That's-
really
I'm not
topical
messing to
ones.
this season.
Yeah.
I'm not messing. No more Dr. Phil. I learned from my mistakes.
Oh no.
Okay.
Have you seen that picture of Dr. Phil?
Phil! Dr. Phil!
Oh, you know, I need to find this shit. Oh my God.
Dr. Phil! Are you okay? You freak!
Adam, wait, look what Adam. Big, nice, small life.
His wife
Small wife! And he's so like.
Big knife, small wife, you know what I'm saying?
And he's so like. Look at his eyes. He's
Give me $500. I'm
Big
gonna
knife,
kill you.
small wife.
Okay. So anyway.
Goodbye, Adam.
All right. So okay.
Do you know what it reminds me of before that?
What?
Do you know the video of the gorilla where it's like, right wife, life good. Like, wife fight back, kill wife. Yeah, life sad.
Okay. So, we're gonna get ahead and move on to our segment, but before we do, Adam is gonna head out for the rest of this episode.
Bye.
Goodbye. Oh my adoring fans.
See ya.
Nice. Hope you find your paradise.
Wait, yeah, just shrink.
Goodbye, Adam.
Okay. God, I'm so glad that asshole is out of here. Let's just start shit talking him. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Why did you think I was for real?
All of us and she's what?
I know, like everyone was so like just shocked. All right. Well, so anyway, now that the trash has been taken out.
Oh, whoa.
Now that the Weezer fan left.
Okay.
Let's talk about the topic of one of Weezer's songs.
So we're going to move on to our segment topic, and today we are talking about an underrated film that was suggested by Jess, who seems very excited to talk about.
I'm so excited about this. Why are you?
I just can't believe we're doing
She's
this.
fucking dying.
I'm
Okay.
so.
I can't believe this is the reality.
I'm the origin
We
of why this.
have to give props to Kate. Kate did make me watch this movie.
See,
Thanks,
okay,
Kate.
so I made Jess watch
Thank
it
you.
because, like I like until I was like 6, I lived with my grandparents, and even like even now, like I see my grandparents, I'd say like 4 times a week, so like they're a big part of my life. And they loved Buddy Holly growing up. Like they loved
There
him.
was no grand reveal there.
No,
yeah,
there
by
was
the
not.
way, like I don't know that we ever said the name. We're
Oh,
reviewing
the Buddy
The
Holly
Buddy Holly
story.
story.
Yeah, and so my
They've
grandparents
seen the title of the episode.
my grandparents loved Buddy Holly so much so that my granddad would model his look after Buddy Holly. Like he had the hair and he
Aw.
wore like the crazy clunky glasses. And like so in every
Cute.
picture like he looks more like Buddy than Gary Busey does, let me tell you that. Like it's crazy. So like I like have like they have a shit ton of his records and stuff, and like yeah, so like I love this movie. Like I don't love Gary Busey, but and then I made Jess watch it, and now we're both in
And now
this
we're
hellhole,
here.
this Buddy hellhole.
All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the discussion on.
Let's
the
go
Buddy
on to
Holly
Buddy Holly, who
Buddy
we
Holly
love.
story.
So, I don't actually have a ton of fun facts, but
There's
I'll
not a
give-
lot of fun facts when talking about
There's
Buddy
no.
Holly.
It's only
Well,
sad
yeah.
facts.
So, the Buddy Holly story is a 1978 biographical drama about Buddy Holly, directed by Steve Rash.
Ooh. Oh, Steve.
So some fun facts. And honestly, a lot of these, I read so much about this, mainly because a lot of the research that I did into this movie specifically, like, had a lot to do with just Buddy Holly's, like, life in general.
His death.
Don't
But
spoil
so
it.
a couple of just general points about the movie itself. So all the music and singing was performed and recorded on set, kind of like how Les
Oh.
Mis
Oh.
was done.
The OG
um,
Les Mis.
Like, cats.
And then also, what was interesting is that they had a very short shooting schedule, and so a lot of their takes, so like basically most of the film was shot in basically like 2 takes or less.
Oh.
Which actually it ended up resulting in quite a lot of like specific scenes that are like kind of very well received by audiences and that weren't actually intended to be shot or like be put in the movie from the beginning, just because like they weren't scripted, or it's just something that ended up happening because they had to kind of like keep going with all the stuff that they were getting on set. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I have a question for you, Cassie. You and Buddy share the same home state of Texas. Does his like legacy have like any like presence in Texas, or like
I wouldn't say more than honestly, I'm surprised that there isn't more of a legacy that Buddy Holly holds. I mean, I think if you go to Nashville, you can probably find more history about Buddy Holly than Texas itself.
Nashville.
He did not like Nashville in the movie.
Mm-mm.
But I think because like I think Lubbock has quite a big holds a lot of his legacy just because that's where he's from. I think like for the most part, if it is a huge legacy that's kept in Texas, it's mostly kept in Lubbock.
That's fair.
So so one more fun fact that I have before we get into discussing the actual movie. This one is kind of more related to Buddy Holly's life, but so apparently when he died in a plane crash, in case anyone's wondering or hasn't
very
seen.
sad.
Yeah.
Very
So he died in a plane crash, and apparently his wife wasn't informed that he was killed until after they released it on the news, and that's how she found out. She saw it on the news that Buddy Holly was killed in a plane accident.
That's horrible.
And not only that, but
I know this.
the shock forced her into a miscarriage. And because of that, terrible. Authorities ended up implementing a policy that dictated that you had to inform families before media could publicize.
That's so horrible.
Oh my
God. At least him, Big Bopper, and Richie Valens left behind some sort of legacy. Now that'll never happen. Now that'll never happen
exactly.
Again
Luckily it will never happen. But it's just shocking that wasn't already a policy. You know, that it literally was until up until 1960. That wasn't a policy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's mad.
Crazy.
And as well, she's never visited from the time I read this.
She's never visited the crash site
or his grave. I heard.
Oh,
maybe it was maybe it's both, but yeah, I heard that she never visited his grave.
You'd go into shock though. That's horrible.
Oh, like she had everything. She had a husband, she had a baby,
and it was a really short marriage as well. They were only married for about 6 months, and not only that, they only knew each other for about 9 months.
But they were gonna stay together. Like you knew it. Like I can't
they were
really
kind
tell,
of they were that
That's
young couple
30...
that were like those classic stories. Sinead's like dying.
Let's talk about how weird Gary Busey is.
Yeah, let's get into the movie.
Okay,
let's start talking.
I've got something to say. If you look at pictures of Buddy Holly, okay, do not go by
he's so cute.
This movie because Buddy
looks
Holly
like
is
Rick
beautiful.
Moranis.
He's like a 6 foot tall.
Yeah,
man.
you're like
he's adorable.
No,
yeah,
you
he's
know
like
what
yummy
he
little
reminds me?
hair.
He wasn't like.
No, you know what he reminds me? He looks like he could play the older cool brother of Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
So Nick Moranis be the little nerdy brother, and then like Buddy Holly be the really cool and be like, "Hey, champ."
I want to write that like nerdy, like they both have glasses and all. They don't look nerdy, but he's just
Gary
cool.
Busey.
Oh, like Gary. Hey, oh, I did like. Okay, so Gary Busey doesn't look like Buddy Holly. He doesn't sound like Buddy Holly, which like. Granted, Buddy Holly did have a very distinct kind of like.
He's unique. He's
like unique. He's quirky, but he did bring like the energy, like the kind of like when he's jumping around on stage.
Yeah, because he's on coke.
I don't think that Gary. I don't think that Gary
downers.
Busey was like the wrong choice. I mean, I think they
Wasn't the
probably
right
could have.
choice.
Yeah, they
He was
probably could have
an
picked
odd
someone
choice.
else. But I don't think that he did badly. Like I think that his
I was
performance
okay with
was
But like based
adequate.
on
It was the first time I liked Gary Busey
based
in a
on
movie.
like based on the fact that
this is best performance.
like based on the fact that every now and then my granddad will just turn to me in the car like he was on uppers, downers, red pills, blue pills. He was on every kind of pill. Like like it makes sense when I watch that. And then also, you know what I really like? Like obviously you can't take.
What do you
I know
like?
we're discussing the movie, and I know a lot of biopics take some liberties,
Mhm.
but like
There's a lot of liberties in this one. A lot of people criticize
there?
it for its inaccuracies.
oh
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, I'm a fan that at least biopic Buddy punches misogynists and racists.
Yeah, because that
unquestioned,
didn't happen
even if
in
it's
real
his
life.
friend.
Because in real life, he actually recorded quite for a while in Nashville before, like, they just, you know, parted ways.
Yeah, there are
Because
good view
it wasn't
country.
working out for them. But, like, yeah, no, he recorded in Nashville for quite a while before. Like, none of that happened, and it didn't end as quickly as it did in the movie.
I have a question. Was the teeth thing, is that real? Did he get his teeth knocked
That's
out
true.
before a
His tooth
performance?
did get knocked out. I'm almost certain that
Bad
actually happened.
bitch.
That he got punched in the face and he was like, I'm gonna just put a piece of gum in my mouth. Have you ever tried to do
So
that?
did his
That's
did his
hilarious.
teeth
Look real?
ever no, but did his teeth ever get fixed? Did
Probably
he ever
he had
fix
money.
them?
I'm sure, yeah. He was rich.
That
He
was
was
really
dead.
bugging me. That
He
they
was
didn't
dead like a month later, probably.
No, but they never like said
But he
anything in the
was.
movie about fixing his teeth, and I'm like, did they fix his? Someone needs to tell me what happened to the
Can
teeth.
you imagine being Maria and him coming home like, honey, I'm home? And it's like, what's wrong with your
Teeth
teeth? And he's
fine.
like, oh, well, you know how it is.
I think, well, for me, I really enjoyed this movie because this was the first time that I had watched it, and I don't know a ton
Same.
about Buddy Holly. Like, you know, like if that doesn't tell you much about like his legacy in Texas. But I don't really know that much about Buddy Holly. I do enjoy his music, but for the most part, like I'm not very versed in his life and all that. To be honest, I didn't know that. I knew that he died young. I didn't know like the circumstances and how young he died. I didn't know that he was 22. That's like insane. That's so.
Do you guys
young.
know how old Richie was? Richie Valens?
Just 19?
Yeah, I read he was
He must have
17.
been younger. Yeah.
Oh, he could have been younger. I don't know. I just guessed that.
Big Bopper was like 26. What the fuck? I thought he was
So-
40.
But I think like what's nice about this movie is that it just feels very wholesome. Like nothing
Yeah.
about the movie is
Yeah.
like you're not like it's not too intense. There's nothing that's just like really you're not going through it while watching it, you
like
know?
so many,
and I
like,
think it's like
biopics
such a
now
nice
are, like,
they're very
they're
dramatic.
very like, and then Freddie Mercury dies, and then
Yeah.
Elton John ODs.
They're
and all
very
that.
emotionally exhausting.
I bet if they made it
Yeah.
now,
Oh, it'd be
which
so
I know
much-
they want to, which you could do a good job of it, but I bet if they made it now, it's like, and then he was on uppers and downers. Like,
Well,
I
Stop.
think
like,
what's
shut
actually
up.
interesting about it is the fact that they were like the reason that they actually decided to film or to produce this biopic rather than any other biopics of like, you know, some of the bigger names in at
Elvis?
the
There
time.
are, yeah.
Well, because like I mean, Buddy Holly's story is an interesting story. It's like it's
Yeah.
something that you would want to hear about, and it's an interesting like
Just
you know
a small
narrative.
town boy.
So it's a good story
Living
for a
in
biopic, but
South
at the time, like people were
Detroit.
kind of just very wondering, like they were kind of wondering why they weren't doing like big stories about like you know like Janis Joplin or like you know like Jimi Hendrix or something, and like big biopics about them because they had they were
uppers and
they were
downers.
bigger names, they had a lot longer of a career, like you know all that kind of stuff. But the problem was that like yeah, what they talked about in like interviews and stuff about the production was that they had decided to do that one because like specifically making like a family movie about Buddy Holly was a lot more of a wholesome story versus
It's more marketable. as
yeah,
well.
well, and also just versus like stories like you know Janis Joplin's and Jimi Hendrix stories where if they dramatize like the drug use and the lifestyle that
would.
they were living,
They
it was just
glamatize
it
it as
wasn't
well.
yeah it wasn't like it would be kind of yeah it would be concerning because they were concerned about the like in the what is the word I'm looking for, the influence that it would have on the younger
Yeah.
generation and the younger audiences. So that's why they decided to produce this one instead.
Because he's a wholesome lad.
I really like how they set up the ending. Like, I think they set up the ending really well because, like, like I said, I didn't remember, like, I didn't know really much about, like, when he died and like, the circumstances of his death and stuff. So I really wasn't expecting it just to, like, end freeze frame and then with the, you know, he died later that night. And I was like, oh, shit, I was expecting, like, a full-on hour longer.
Lame.
Like, it was just, you know, because I like the way they set up the ending because I think that that's a really good thing is that when you're setting up the ending, even if people know that he's going to die at a certain point, and even if you are very versed in the history, you want it to feel like it's coming to the big moment, the big ending, and like, you know, you want to feel the weight of the ending, but you also don't want it to seem like you're just like literally like sitting there waiting around for the ending. You don't want the whole movie to be about the ending. You want it to, because that was the whole point, was that Buddy Holly died young. It was a tragedy. He had so much going for him and he had such a bright future. And that's what I feel like the movie did really well, is that they were really setting it up as if they were going to continue going, that Buddy had so much more story. And like
He did
I like
evolve.
that they just like they end it really abruptly because that's exactly how his life ended.
Because that's the thing. A lot of biopics forget that like these are like real people's lives,
Mhm.
and like say what like Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh god,
I hate that
like
movie.
it's not. And then I'm not saying there obviously are a lot of fabrications in this movie, but I don't think it's so much so that it changes Buddy's like life.
They
and,
feel
like,
more like
Yeah.
harmless.
yeah, but like with Bohemian Rhapsody,
It was like,
it was literally like they tried to make it so much like here's Freddie at the beginning of his life, and then like oh look it's getting good, and then like drugs, gay, and then he accepts
Yeah.
he's gonna die.
They're like
right at the time,
like they're
Live Aid. Like
they're
that's nothing.
creating a narrative versus telling it, and I think in the Buddy Holly
Yeah.
story they had some fabrications and they had some inaccuracies, but it was telling the Buddy Holly story rather than fabricating an entirely new narrative, and I think that they did really well with that.
I feel like not a lot happens in this movie. Like it's a lot.
No,
of just,
that's one.
Yeah, and if this was like say like Freddie Mercury's or like, I really liked Rocket Man, but I'm just using Elton John as like a.
Mhm.
Oh, I love
like, thing.
Rocket Man. Yeah.
It was very good, but I feel like
Rocketman.
this was just the start. Like that whole part like just seems like the start of his career, which it was. Like
Mhm.
he didn't like my grandparents always say that if he would have lived, he would have been as big as Elvis. He would have been up there, and I think he would have too. Because he just was so like, this is what I'm gonna do.
Well, and he
Fuck
was
off.
a pioneer in the music industry. Like the fact that he was one
For
of
the
first, like,
Beatles.
yeah, it
The Beatles
went like
loved him.
at the Apollo, and the fact that like just his style of music was like not like generally accepted through the audiences that people would expect him to have. And the fact that he kind of kept going with that, and he was very adamant about like the way his music was produced and distributed, and he himself worked on he was one of the first artists to really like work on every single aspect of the production of his music.
Yeah, I just think the movie gives you, it takes its time, and it really just shows you like little peaks of like, because like I actually didn't know a lot of like what he was like as a person. Like I just knew his music. So because this was a time before like, you know, Freddie and Elton are like they were around the same time in like the 80s and the 70s where there was a lot of coverage. Their media was different, you know, there were more interviews and there were more like,
Yeah.
oh, we want to know the person. But back then it was more just like these are just the people. And as well,
Right.
Buddy Holly wasn't like, obviously like he was attractive, but for the 50s he wasn't like the dreamboat because like, he had the glasses and he was like screaming and all.
Like he was kind of like just like an average looking guy. Yeah.
So they weren't really
That's okay.
they weren't really
That's
concerned
alright.
in his exactly.
In his personal life, they were very
Yeah.
more concerned with his like actual talent. than
Music.
something else.
This movie wasn't caught up in like this is the narrative. It was literally just this was his life. Like this is just the way he was. Like maybe not all. I don't know. Is it true? I think you found this out about. Did they fabricate something about his relationship with Cindy Lou?
It's like I'm pretty sure Peggy Sue was written for like a cousin or
It was a
like
niece, I
relative
think.
of his, and he like
Yeah.
wrote it as like a little silly song for her,
Yeah.
and then people liked it, so he's like, oh okay, Peggy Sue.
Yeah, and it wasn't supposed to have anything to do with like a girlfriend.
But was he dating? Was Cindy Lou a person? And did he
I
break
think
up with her
so.
like that? Cause
I don't know if they broke up like that. I don't know if that's possible to know like genuinely. I have no idea, but I think she was real.
Buddy Holly at every interview made sure that people knew that's how they broke up. He made
and
sure.
then I went to the bus stop and I said, "What's the thing he says? Boola boola."
Yeah. Apparently, like in the beginning, in the first
That's
few
how I
drafts
want to
of
be
the
broken
script,
up with.
he was supposed to answer her in a different way. Like I don't know exactly what it was supposed to be.
I don't think
I'm
Gary
trying to
Busey
find
read the script. You just made up words.
it.
I'm gonna go wood. You want to go wooding with me?
Oh, here
Let's
it
go
is.
wooding.
So it was according to the DVD commentary, in the scene where Cindy Lou gets on the bus to go back to the college, Gary Busey was originally supposed to answer her question of what am I going to tell the kids at college with, Cindy Lou, kiss my ass. But director Steve Rash didn't like that line, and so they came up with the boola boola dialogue instead.
That's so stupid. I love that.
Okay,
I imagine
Boola
Buddy
Boola.
Holly from heaven like, what the fuck? When did I say that? Richie's like, Richie Valens is like, you said that? And he's
I
like,
think
no.
it's a cute moment though, because it makes it a little bit more memorable than it would have been
Yeah.
if he was just like, kiss my ass, because that would have been as like jarring, but it's not as memorable.
Yeah.
But this is like harmless.
It kind of makes Buddy out to be like a bit of an asshole if he's like, kiss my ass. But if he's
Yeah, like this made him.
just
It made more
saying
sense for him to
random
be kind of
shit.
like, yeah, just kind of adorable and like.
If it was, I mean, if that was true though, like the whole thing at the bus stop, I love Buddy. Bit of a dick thing, because they were going out for 5 years, and I don't think Cindy was actually that bad. Like,
I think
was
she just didn't
whiny.
get him. She just didn't get him.
But she wanted.
They weren't
that
on the same. They weren't on the same level.
Yeah.
But she wanted what was best for him. Like, which
Yeah.
was like, she shouldn't have
Yeah.
been like, oh, and then you can tell the boys like that you quit the band. Like, yeah, she shouldn't have done that. But she literally just wanted what was best for him, and I think they just shouldn't have gone on that long for 5 years.
Yeah. And so, like, if that did happen, that is kind of like a shit, because it is a dick move to just be like, oh yeah, like stringing her along, because she was fully thinking this relationship was like totally fine,
Like
nothing
marriage.
wrong, everything's great. He's he's on the same page as me. Like, she was under that impression, and so if he actually did that, that's so upsetting. The fact
There's
that he
one-
just is like, just ripping the carpet out from under her, just being like, nah, bitch, like
And then
later.
get
Oh,
married
good
like
bitch.
next year. But then as well, there's one scene I have 2 questions about the dialogue. One, it's not really a question, but do you know the part where like him and like Cindy are getting handsy, and she's like, Robert, Holly, what am I gonna do with you? And he goes, I guess nothing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
on the radio.
So after the first scene and when they're in like church and like the pastor
Oh,
or
what was
whoever the
that?
fuck is just like, I was like, when did we start watching Footloose? Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? No, we're getting this like horrible new sound that's like the devil's music, and it's like, okay.
All right, calm down.
Are they fucking crazy? The fucking scene where they're in the car. I know the 50s was different, but what the fuck? Could you not feel safe anywhere? Because when they're in the car and Buddy's in the back, and they're both drinking beer, and then they're like, do you want to switch? And they switch seats. One of them's
No.
dry. Don't
Mm-mm.
fuck with it.
Back in
No.
the, honestly, everything was so dangerous back in the day. Like, I mean,
Planes.
as sad as it is,
No
but
wonder why
I'm not
no one
surprised that
lived.
they, like, yeah, the plane went down and that no one survived. Well, because I did read a little bit about it, and apparently it was that they took off in inclement weather, and the person who was flying the plane was not certified to be flying that plane.
Oh my god.
So this could have been preventable?
Yeah, actually, oh my gosh. Okay, so once again, this is not at all about the movie, but it is quite sad because, it depicts it a little bit in the movie. But the facts, so apparently his wife, Maria, she blames herself. And she says that the reason that she blames herself is not because, like, she, should have told him not to or whatever, but she had always kind of, she was it was very accurately portrayed that she was very, very encouraging to Buddy Holly. And
She's
that
very sweet.
she was very, like, he always said that he just felt like just another musician when she was trying to convince him that he was a really big music giant. And when she was encouraging him to go on tour, like, she was like, she decided not to go because it was very early on in her pregnancy, so she was very able to go if she wanted to, but she just like was just like, oh no, I'll stay here, like, it's not a big deal, you won't be gone for that long. And she blames herself because she knows that if she had gone with him, he wouldn't have gotten in the plane because it would have been too dangerous for her. And so she blames herself by not going with him, that he ended up dying in the plane crash. It's really upsetting. I thought it was really well done in the end of the movie. Like how I was talking about how I like that the way they set up the ending was that, like, because I don't know if it was actually true that his old bandmates were supposed to be meeting him in the next city, but I loved that they did that. I don't know if that's true either, but like if it isn't, whether it is or isn't, the way they portrayed it in the movie, I thought it was really well done because it makes it so much more sudden, unexpected, and sad. Because these boys who were his childhood best friends, they're the ones who helped him, become the person that he was and the music giant that he was, and they were gonna go see him because they missed him and because he missed them, and like the way he was talking in the movie, saying like, I just don't feel like I can do it by myself, and he does, and his friends were gonna go and support him and all that, and then they never got to see him again, and like I thought that was really well done, the way they like set that up. Well, so I think that's about it with our discussion. So let's go ahead and rate this underrated film.
I'll give it a 6 because it has Gary Busey in it.
I would say something. I'd give it a 7 because I think it was like it. I do really think that it is I think it's a really classic example of an underrated film because it's not like a huge standout, like crazy good, epic story movie, but it like I don't know. It's a really well told story, and I think it does like well at what it attempted to do. So
I'll give it like an 8.
An 8?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'd have to mark it down for Gary Busey and the inaccuracies and the sudden endings. So 9.
We did a
I don't
list
care.
today.
It's 9. I don't
Alright.
care.
Fair enough.
well, so let's
good.
plug some of the stuff we've been watching.
Oh,
and then we'll head
I've been
out.
watching stuff.
It is cool.
I have been watching. I finished watching it and all. I think it was during the day I had surgery, and the day after I was pretty zoinked, so I needed something lighthearted to watch. So I watched. It's new on Netflix, but it's like it was made a while back. It's called Close Enough. It's a little adult animated series, and like I know it's like not like a big mouth Family Guy kind of.
Yeah, it's not vulgar.
It's not vulgar. Like it makes adult jokes. Basically, it's made by J.G. Quintel, who made Regular Show. It's very cute. And I meant to say something else about it, but I forgot. But it's got like also a good cast. If you look, I can't even think, but like it's a very good cast, and it's very lighthearted and nice and funny.
Oh, okay. So I can't say anything about it yet because like I haven't really gotten into it. But I'm giving The Witcher a second try.
No!
Because
Cassie, I thought we agreed it was bad.
it's not okay. It's because I know that there's like it's not just like overall. I've heard a lot of mixed like actual like legitimate critiques and reviews and stuff, but there are elements of it that have been really like highly praised within the filmmaking community and with like the film and TV making community. And so I really want to watch it just as like, a filmmaker to kind of like, because I like watching things like that, even if I don't think that they're like overall good. I like watching things like that because it's like, it's fun to see the different like ideas and creativity and like the techniques and stuff that different people use in order to accomplish certain things. And I've heard that it is really like, there's a lot of reviews that talk about like certain elements of it that are really, really, really well done and very highly praised.
I'm glad you have an open mind, unlike the other two wenches on the podcast.
I know. I'll put the wenches. That's me, okay.
Oh my god. Okay. Sinead.
I've been watching The Hunters on Prime Video. Is that what it's called? Like
Hunters, yes.
Yes,
so good.
It's so good. It's about these Nazi hunters, like in the 1970s.
Oh, the way it's shot, so good.
Fantastic. It has Al Pacino. That's all.
Solid.
He's in it.
He plays everyone.
All right, Jess. What have you been watching?
I watched The Great Muppet Caper.
Ooh.
The trend of me only watching Muppet movies.
Yeah,
Solid.
we kind of went through
I
it.
watched The Great Muppet Caper, and I think it might be my favorite Muppet movie. It's about. I'm gonna say it as if it's a prestigious movie.
Oh, okay.
It's about Gonzo, Fozzie, and Kermit, and they
Ooh.
go to England,
Oh.
and they're detectives.
Oh, I'm sold.
Kermit and Fozzie are identical twin detectives.
No.
And Gonzo is their photographer. And then Miss Piggy works at a high-end fashion brand, and Kermit and Piggy fall in love. The best movie ever made.
All right, cool. Well, I think this is a solid episode. It was nice to have Adam back. So
Love you, Adam.
Yeah, everyone, thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
As usual, go ahead and visit us on our website, themovierats.com. We're also on social media. We're on Facebook and
Visit us.
we're on Facebook and Instagram at The Movie Rats and on Twitter at Movie Rats Pod. Go follow Kate on Instagram at Strawberry Stripe. And also, if you have any questions or suggestions, you can either submit
Email.
stuff on our website, or you can email at us at
Our DMs are open. I do be reading them.
You can email
You
us
naughty
at
bitches.
movieratspod@gmail.com. But yeah, also, and like I said in the last couple of episodes, we are filming. Well, I mean, we're always filming because we're on Zoom. We are now releasing all of our episodes as video podcasts on our YouTube page.
YouTube.
See how fine we looking.
Definitely go and check those out because they have a lot of extra content on them. Some of the jokes and stuff will make a lot more sense. There's also some extra stuff on the videos because a lot of them, need the visual cues in order to make sense. So yeah, go ahead and check us out on YouTube. But yeah, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks for episode 9.
Bye.
For more content, you can find us on social media at The Movie Rats and online at themovierats.com.
New episodes up every other Sunday on Spotify.
The Movie Rats is produced by Dirty Bird Productions, as well as Adam Carr, Sinead Barrell, Jess Boylan, and Cassie Egger. Art by Kate Doyle, and music by Sinead Barrell.
Thank you for listening.